Hello and welcome to Leadership Emotional Development LLC. This is the second part of our Leadership Inspiration and Power class. This part is especially designed for leaders of all industries to help them adopt and improve those emotional intelligence leadership skills that will help them succeed in all they do. Hi again, my name is Rick Pineda, and I'm delightful to have you in our class this evening. Please feel free to ask us your questions at the end of each section. So here we go. Leadership, Inspiration, and Power, Part 2, focus on three important subjects that are necessary to review tonight for the benefit of all of us leaders. We will focus on important subjects that leaders must exercise during their career while inspiring and motivating others. We're going to enter a world where leaders, followers, groups, and many other teams will depend on our decisions and will learn the process that will help us prevent failures to protect your organization and especially your followers. Finally, we'll be talking about your leadership position in an ever-changing environment as technology and artificial intelligence steps up to a data-driven world. Tonight, I will be covering the following subjects. First, we'll be talking about the complex world that leaders face. How would they confront demands in a complex system we live? Next, we'll be talking about the risk that leaders will take when making important decisions. Third, the future of leadership is something that we need to really face as well. What are we seeing then in the future of leadership? And finally, four, we'll be wrapping up with questions, comments, and feedback. The complex world of leaders, complex systems. Before we enter this section, you need to know that I choose to provide the leaders tonight with three important subjects that I believe will be useful for your careers. In this section, I would like you to think as a proactive leader that is asked to perform a difficult task. As a leader, you will find obstacles that will prevent you from being successful. This section will give you the management tool to prevent surprises when you confront changes in the scope of work. In this section, we'll be covering the following subjects: system fundamentals. We'll be talking about system archetypes, the adversities that interrupt your success. I will give you some tips for you to make a difference in your workplace. And finally, we will have an open forum.
Systems theory. Systems theory is the interdisciplinary study of systems. A system is a cohesive conglomeration of interrelated and interdependent parts, which can be natural or human-made. Every system is bound by space and time, influenced by its environment, defined by its structure and purpose, and expressed through its functioning. The objectives of systems theory are to model a system's dynamics, constraints, conditions, and to elucidate principles such as purpose, measure, methods, and tools that can be discerned and applied to other systems at every level of nesting and in a wide range of fields for achieving optimization that can be reached by many potential means. So, general systems theory is about developing broadly applicable concepts and principles, as opposed to concepts and principles specific to one domain of knowledge. System dynamics is an approach to understanding the nonlinear behavior of complex systems over time, using stocks, flows, internal feedback loops, and time delays. Systems fundamentals. General systems theory is a name which has come into use to describe a level of theoretical model building, which lies somewhere between the highly generalized constructions of pure mathematics and the specific theories of networks composition. Networks are made from a group of people called agents, or elements, that are linked by relationships among themselves. These networks become a system once the element's behavior, among the elements, is established and the procedures are adopted. We will look at these behaviors later in the workshop. Systems may be natural, such as the universe, the solar systems, the planets; social, organizations, communities, and families; or artificial, such virtual groups, artificial life, and artificial societies. Systems archetypes. Systems archetypes are patterns of behavior found in many of our systems. Systems are expressed here by circles of causality, and they are of similar structure. Identifying a system archetype and finding the leverage enables efficient changes in a system is the responsibility of the leaders. The basic idea of systems thinking is that every action triggers a reaction. In system dynamics, this reaction is called feedback. Sometimes a feedback or reaction does not occur immediately because the process contains delays. A system's process graph is set up here with circles of causality, which aid to visualize how different variables in a system are interrelated, and which includes actions, feedback, and delays occurs. According to our system loop model, the plan is put in place by executing it from the circle to the left to the circle on the right. This is shown here as the current state. Once the plan is on the right, the process goes back from the right circle to the left circle, indicating here a new current action being returned with the corrected information in the form of feedback to take corrective action. Here, one can adjust and correct the original plan. All this process takes time, therefore expect some delays. Remember that archetypes may interfere with this process. Leaders must be aware of this by analyzing the feedback and adjusting the plan accordingly. If no corrective action is taken, the consequences then will limit the leader's success. However, if the leader takes a corrective action, the burden would be blocked, and the plan will be on the way to success. Time to make a difference. Always remember, change drives progress. So begin by taking the first 5 steps. 1. As a leader, start by immersing yourself in your organization's long-term vision for success. Get involved with the key players of modernization and progress. 2. Put your organizational change management into action by transforming people to a different way of thinking, working, and acting to achieve desired business outcomes. 3. Get your stakeholders engaged by supporting your initiatives with strong proving trends and data from your organization's controllers. 4. Be in constant communication with your stakeholders and remind them of the perfect blend. Technology and automation done right will provide sustainability at minimum cost. And 5. Implement competencies modeling to management change mindset and encourage them to learn about the benefits of emotional intelligence as their baseline leadership program for safety prevention and a world-class workforce.
The risk that leaders take. Leadership and decisions. The decision-making process is a very risky business sometimes, and here we'd like you to think on the procedures and the risks that you will take as you make these decisions. This, of course, is to help you prevent decision errors. So in this section, we're going to review issues such as what is decision making? What is the process of decision making? What are the risks that leaders confront during decision making? And finally, we'll give you a few tips to help you from making bad decisions.
Decision making. What do managers and leaders do? They do not really do the actual work of an organization, but primarily what they do is to make the decisions necessary to allow the people who do the work to do it as effectively and efficiently as possible. Decision making is the process of identifying and choosing alternatives based on the values, preferences, and beliefs of the decision maker. But the more important thing to consider before even beginning to make a decision includes figuring what the problem is, how important the decision is, how many available resources it would take to implement the decision, and when would the decision be made. Leaders and managers will hopefully learn how to make the right decisions by taking the right course of action and see these actions as the beginning of a lifelong journey to become a better decision maker. Decision making process. For a leader to implement a correct decision making process, he must follow this procedure. Number one, identify the problem. To begin the decision process, you must first identify the problem you need to resolve. Clearly define your decision. Number two, define the solution criteria. Do an internal and external assessment. Seek where your organization has succeeded and failed in areas related to your decision. Number three, develop a list of possible alternatives. With relevant information now at your fingertips, identify possible solutions to your problem. There's usually more than one option to consider when trying to meet a goal. Number four, estimate payoffs associated with each alternative. Weigh the evidence for or against said alternatives. Identify potential pitfalls for each of your alternatives and weight those against the possible rewards. Number five, evaluate among alternatives. Here is the part of the decision-making process where you make the decision. You are perfectly prepared to choose. Number six, implement the solution. Develop a plan to make your decision tangible and achievable, and then set the team loose on their task once the plan is in place. And number seven, monitor to see that desired results are achieved. After a predetermined amount of time, take an honest look back at your decision. Did you solve the problem? Did you answer the question? Did you meet your goals? If yes, then you're good. If not, learn from your mistake as you begin the decision-making process all over again. Risks of decision-making. A well-designed risk-response portfolio will focus not only on reducing the likelihood of a risk occurring, but also include plans for stabilization and recovery to ensure business continuity and effective reputation management. A typical evaluation tool to use during a decision-making process is called the risk-based decision-making process, in where the issues are defined, the options are examined, and the decision implemented. The process begins with the identification of the risk response options, followed by an evaluation of the identified risks. The identification process of a risk response options is based on a 4 T's. We must begin by questioning if the risk is worth pursuing, if taking the risk will be cost effective, if this risk reward acceptable, and what will be the financial impact by taking this risk. The evaluation process of the risk response options will take into account the cost benefits, the views of relevant stakeholders, the mandatory requirements imposed by internal standards or external regulatory authorities, and how eager are you to take the risk response, which it is not cost effective, would normally be discarded. Successfully applying the risk-based decision-making process can be both powerful and cost-effective. Making poor decisions. Unfortunately, many business leaders are not particularly good about making decisions. They either rush through the steps, many times skipping the steps, they get stuck on evidence, never move on to the next step, and end up with a bad decision. Here are some of the reasons why. The leader fails to check the facts, gets surprised by unexpected events, get confused with the complexity of the decision, has no strategy in place, fails by not following the decision-making process correctly, does not react on negative results and continues to ignore them, get stuck on other issues of concern such cost, time, technology, gets confused with other groups' suggestions, fails to communicate forward the final decision. It is sometimes difficult to see our own faults in decision making until we hear or read about similar situations. But the worst thing that a leader can do is not make a decision at all. So focus in your options and make your decisions using your logical mind and remembering to follow your decision making process steps correctly.
The future of leadership, leading with artificial intelligence. Finally, we are living in a very rapidly changing society, and with the arrival of COVID, most of us had to do a total mind change. But it was not a surprise because we were already using the process of the internet and the advantages of virtuality. I will talk a bit about algorithms and the reasons why they exist, and will answer the questions for the future of all of our careers. In this section, we're going to review issues such as data driven society. What is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence in business, and of course, we'll be talking about the future of leadership.
Data driven decision making. Big data trends are now embedded in mainstream information technology, IT. Nowadays, companies need to repurpose and perhaps retrain their professionals to operate in a data driven world, and the reasons are obvious. Because the nature of work is changing, we are now seeing technology replacing the activities that management staff and knowledge workers were once performing. Decision makers still are not getting the information they need. Leaders struggle to separate out meaningful information from extraneous noise in their environment. New challenge for the next decade. The challenge facing companies over the next 5 to 10 years will be figuring out how to use the data that is available to them, refine it into information, and harvest that information insights to drive decisions. Transforming your workforce into data professionals. The keys to developing these workers into data professionals is providing them with access to data, the analysis tools to organize, work, and redefine the data that feeds the decision making process. Setting your company and employees up for success. The future of work for the next decade will be focusing on managing data the company has today and helping the organization use it in new ways to solve problems and exploit the new opportunities. As we continue moving into a data driven society, technology must continue merging automation and cognitive technology to make systems self managing and potentially self defending and self healing against any risk. Artificial intelligence is based on the principle that human intelligence can be defined in a way that machine can be easily mimicked to execute many tasks, from the simplest tasks to those that are even more complex. So how does Fortune 500 companies manage their contact center today? Well, using the following: assisted intelligence. Assisted intelligence refers to the automation of basic tasks. Examples include machines in assembly and production lines. Using augmented intelligence. Because there is a give and take with augmented intelligence, giving artificial intelligence the chance to learn from a human input is of an essence. Therefore, we can make more accurate decisions based on that information. And using autonomous intelligence, which is artificial intelligence with humans out of the loop. Think about self-driving cars and autonomous robots. Artificial intelligence technology have been giving organizations the means towards effectiveness and efficiency, improve innovative capabilities, and to have better opportunities running their business for them today. Artificial intelligence in business. With the era of deep learning already here, executives today count on a database of models and simulations to turn for all kinds of analysis and decisions to be made. In the field of retail, marketing, and sales, all applications have provide a new and more reliable tool in market forecasting, process automation, and decision making. Several artificial intelligence applications in business has enhanced their decision-making flows. Marketing decision making with artificial intelligence. There are many complexities to each marketing decisions. Organizations must understand customer needs and desires and to align products to these needs and desires. Customer relationships management, CRM. Artificial intelligence within CRM systems enable its many automated functions, such as contact management, data recording and analysis, and lead tracking. Recommendation systems. Artificial intelligence system learns a user's content preference and pushes content that fit those preferences. This can help you reduce products bounce rates as well as to craft better targeted content. Through expert systems, artificial intelligence has tried to replicate the knowledge and the reasoning of experts through so-called expert systems, which are a type of problem-solving software as follows. First, the creation of automation, efficiency, and artificial intelligence. Here, artificial intelligence has been able to hasten process and provide decision makers with reliable insight. Implementation of social computing, which helps marketing professionals understand the social dynamics and behaviors of a target market. And of course, opinion mining, which is a kind of data mining that searches the web for opinions and feelings, a way for marketers to know, receive feedback. Creating the future we want. Today, artificial intelligence is impacting the future of virtually every industry and every human being. Yet, artificial intelligence is only as good as the design of a cognitive algorithm and the data upon which that reasoning is based. Large warehouses from Fortune 500 organizations continue to automate their operations by powerful automatic guidance vehicles, picking and packing functions that were traditionally human work. Amazon has currently over 100,000 robots doing just that right now. We must continue making artificial intelligence improvements to better our animation patterns in everyday challenge. This should be done in all industries to continue striving for better decisions, better efficiencies, and better sustainable operations in all they do.
We are living in a very rapidly changed society, and with the accelerated advances in technology, leaders often ask about their future. But the reality is that advances in analytics and artificial intelligence have created the capacity to connect, to automate, and practically every aspect of life. Today, these wonders have had limited effect in our work lives, where practices are frequently too cumbersome, too detached from reality, and yes, too analog to enable leaders to perform in an increasingly digitized world. Right now, available technology can automate much of what we call management, giving leaders more time to lead. This is vital. As digitization disrupts at an ever increasing rate, Leaders are challenged to accurately anticipate shifts in the business environment and make their organizations markedly more agile. Leaders need to be liberated from routine work to focus more on a strategic transformation. So, as the world changes, your organization must shift to a new way of working. To successfully continue to innovate, your organization must take a balanced approach to business, technology, and the development of people leading the change. The ever changing demand for specific technical skills can bring about rapid change and growth, as well as high staff turnovers. Your organization can create longevity and stability through executive team development, strengthening technical leaders' skills, and building a culture that can address today's challenge head on and adapt quickly to whatever comes next.